everyone, welcome back to another video. And in this video, we are going to go through the part 2 or the details and the pros and cons of the 4 types of stable coins that we discussed in my previous video. This is Mr. Aslan. Crypto education is my passion, guys. I'm not a financial advisor and this is definitely not financial advice. First and foremost, I would like to apologize for having this video a little delayed since I did run into some technical snags. Had to re-record this almost multiple times. So that's where the video has been delayed a little. So in this video, let's go ahead and see of the 4 different various types of how you can actually create a stable coin and how is it backed in each of these variants. The first and foremost one that we actually saw was the fiat-based collateral currency. Now this is a fairly simple and straightforward concept. It's backed to your 1:1 ratio of your dollar or your rupee or your pound or your euro, whichever currency you want to actually back it with. Any stable coin that you want to come out with, that collateral would be existing and that collateral is your actual fiat itself in a fairly simple manner, guys. So if I want to have 10,000 tokens on the blockchain, then I would have 10,000 US dollars in a specific account, which would be backing or acting as a collateral for those 10,000 tokens, wherein each token will be worth a single US dollar. That's how simple and straightforward it works. Now coming to the pros and cons of this particular system. Let's discuss the pros first and then go on to the cons. The pros here first would be the reliability, because it's a known proven system since the value of your dollar would never depreciate since it's defined by the government. $1 is always equivalent to $1, so your $1 collateral based coin on the blockchain would always remain pegged to that specific value. Now when it comes to high liquidity, yes, you do have a lot of cash that is flowing out. That's the main reason for inflation, but yeah, you can definitely provide a huge amount of liquidity as compared to many other tokens that are out there. Now when it comes to the actual scalability, also it is fairly very much easy and straightforward for anyone to start a stable coin in this manner, since it's a direct conversion from your fiat to your digital platform. It doesn't require too much of a hassle, and easily you can replicate this system for any of the currencies in your specific region that you have. Now coming to the cons, each system has its own cons. The first and foremost con that I would say is the high trust required on issuing the company to honor the redemption. Now, like I said, these would be private entities, not government controlled, who would be providing these kind of crypto assets to you as stable coins until unless the government steps up and decides to go ahead and have its own venture. That comes out in the last section where we speak of CBDCs. But this ideally would be private players or even certain individuals as well who might have developed projects of stablecoin in this specific manner. So there is a high risk of trust and the value that the company or the group of people or an individual will have to have. Anyone can run away with your money, guys. That's as simple as that, because they control the entire project and the token system as well, right? Now transparency, they might have issues in terms of existing deposits. Now when it comes to a fiat based, it will definitely involve the banking system, and we all know there are a lot of flaws and transparency issues definitely exist when it comes to normal ledgers that are still maintained in the banks. Now the third and foremost, the biggest con I would say would be the regulations that are happening right now across the world. Now these financial regulations probably might put a stop to these kind of schemes wherein you will be able to back your crypto assets through a fiat as a 1:1 ratio. That might stop. It might not happen across the world, but it might happen in certain areas or regions as well. We do not know. Anything can happen in terms of regulations, although I'm very much positive in terms of the regulations. They are required, but in a good manner and to be formed by people who understand how crypto and blockchain actually works. So this is it about the fiat based cryptocurrency. Let's move on to the next one, which is your cryptocurrency based collateral stable coins. Now when I say crypto collateral stable coins, it ideally means, say for example, if token A, which is a stable coin, I want to release it, then I will back that stable coin A with some amount of Ethereum, some amount of Bitcoin, some amount of XYZ token, another token which is a crypto asset which is having a well establishment, right? So usually these are the top coins which will be preferred for a peg. However, you do or might find examples of certain other smaller projects which might also be tied up, or it can also be a diversified portfolio of mixed group of assets which would be acting as a collateral. This approach, it definitely tries to reduce the reliance on the companies. However, you will have to always back an additional amount of crypto assets. It cannot be a 1:1 ratio. It needs to be a calculated ratio. A lot of calculation and logical assumptions would be involved, since cryptocurrencies that you would be backing would always be volatile in the market. The current bear market is the best scenario right now. So having these conditions to be taken into account, you would definitely have to be changing your collateral values. It would not be a fixed value like we saw in the fiat based collateral system. However, this also proves to be an advantage for the blockchain network, mainly because every transaction would still remain on a public ledger. Now, what are the pros and what are the cons? The first pro that I would like to quote is it is completely crypto native. It doesn't depend on any of the financial systems that are traditional in place or even government controlled as well. So since it is a stable coin that requires no interaction with any of traditional systems, and since the blockchain is a public record, any and every transaction that ideally occurs will always be on the blockchain for you. The third and most important one when it comes to the actual pro over here in this kind of system is the decentralized governance. Take DAI for example, DAI. I think that's the brainchild of MakerDAO. It would be a collective effort of the community behind or from a group of people backing the entire project rather than a single entity or a government controlling it for you. So these are the three biggest pros. Now, what are the three cons that I foresee? The first one I see is novelty. Now, the main thing here is everything the work that works here in this kind of a system would be smart contract based. So you need to be ensuring that your smart contract is totally free or void of errors. Potential bugs in this smart contract might lead to loss of funds. It has happened in many of the scenarios. So that second one would be the cost involved. Now, over collateral based deposits can be expensive for some of the projects that might have thought of coming out with a stable coin, mainly because if the market entirely crashes, then you will definitely have to have a lot of liquidity available with you to purchase more assets, and those assets will definitely be locked for a period of time until the bull run actually starts. Now, the third and important con that is the catastrophic drop. This is what I was speaking of when it comes to the sudden changes or collapse of prices in the bear market that ideally happens, like now recently what we are actually seeing. So these kind of scenarios are devastating to these kind of stable coins. You might have to shell out almost, say, if you have invested $1 million in terms of having the stable coin project run, you might have to almost triple your investment in these kind of scenarios, even when the actual coins fall down by 50% or even more than that, in fact, because on one side you're targeting at buying more collateral and always that should be in excess, and on the second side you're locking those funds away until the next bull run, and that god knows when it might happen, right? So these kind of scenarios would probably make this crypto collateral based stable coins a little bit more riskier, as well as adoption on a larger scale might happen at a lower stage as and when the volatility decreases in the market. Until and unless we have this volatility aspect decreasing, we might not see much of crypto related based stable coins running successfully. Always good to be a little more careful when you're investing or probably trying to transact with those kind of stable coins which are only backed by crypto assets. Moving on to the third option that you have is algorithmic based stable coins. To explain it in a very simple manner, take for example token A and token B. Now token A is your actual ecosystem token and token B is your stable coin. Both will be pegged to each other, and how the change happens here is, say for example token A, which is an actual ecosystem token, has a supply of say 1 billion, and token B, you want the supply or someone wants to have a stable coin of say 10,000, right? So when I want to go ahead and have that 10,000 stable coin converted from this ecosystem tokens, the ecosystem tokens has a reduction of supply which would propel the price a little more, and there will be new tokens minted over here to give me that 10,000 stable tokens of token B. Now when I want to do a reverse conversion, when I want to sell my stable coins, what will happen in the background? Since it's algorithmic based, the smart contract will go ahead and burn this 10,000 stable coins of token B and mint that equivalent value of your ecosystem tokens based again on the market price. So this variation of supply will keep happening, but yes, like we saw in the Luna debacle, it's really crazy when the prices overshoot or these kind of algorithmic cases malfunction, I would say. So coming down to the pros and cons, let's discuss about the pros first. This is a very solid concept because there is no human intervention at all involved. So the entire mechanism of seigniorage has been successfully running for centuries in the traditional economy as such. So the same kind of concept is replicated. Now this is just a concept I'm speaking, not the actual working model, right? So the crypto native nature again would definitely give you a lot more opportunities and options. And like always, when it comes to definitely crypto related assets, it's always a public ledger, and transparency plays a very vital role, and that would be the biggest pro for this kind of system. When it comes to cons, let's say the novelty, like I said earlier, as similar to your crypto based stable coins, algorithmic based are also susceptible to certain bugs that might be existing in the smart contract. The second one would be the attack surface. So it's unclear if the combination of these smart contracts and the economic incentives could react fast enough in case of a deliberate attack. So that's something that we are yet to see. So it's fairly uncertain since it's not so well versed in the larger scale. So legality, again, this plays a very vital role when it comes to even regulations that are coming out. It's a sector that is already suffering a lot of clarity. So this might probably draw even more backlash from the regulative aspect, mainly because this system is a little bit new, this system is a little bit complex, and this system is not proven to be successful completely. I think it would definitely take some more time to have these kind of stable coins in the market out there. The last and final thing that we have for stable coins are your CBDCs. So CBDCs are fairly a very new concept. This has been under discussion from the government side. They're ideally not stable coins, or neither are they cryptocurrencies, but they do include the elements of both. When I say they are stable, it is nothing more than a re-engineered form of a national currency that incorporates some of the features of your cryptocurrencies as well as your traditional financial system. So once this combination happens, it makes it even more powerful. So the major advantage of this would be that it enables more efficiency. It allows the central banks to have a single control. So basis this control mechanism, what I foresee is even the transaction validation might be controlled by the governments alone, or it is still a little more unclear as to whether private players would be involved. Now this is a pro as well as a con on one side. Flip side, if you look at it, the transactions that might happen on these kind of networks, which CBDCs or the governments are under control, might definitely not be public information. So this is something that the governments might not release to everyone on a public ledger, and the network itself, it might not be a public network at all. On the final notes, unlike Bitcoin, both the money supply and the monetary rules, it will probably remain under the full control of the currencies national, that is your respective region, much like the fiat currencies today. So allowing more direct control by the central bank, that's the only pro that you can have. But however, the supply, the minting, all this stuff is still under the government's regulation. So this might prove to be one of the biggest cons, because it's as good as your fiat. However, it's just a blockchain technology that we are utilizing. So this is what I had to actually share about the 4 types of your digital currencies or your stable coins, I would say. And in the next video, I'm going to probably speak of specific to CBDCs. What are the CBDCs, and how do they actually probably have their own systems in place, and how is it that they plan to operate. Right now there are many concepts that are running around the entire world, and not one of them have been completely finalized. I don't know of any specific nation that has actually come out with their own CBDC until now, although there are huge talks of the China's digital yuan, and here in India as well, we do have finance minister who had actually announced that they would be coming out with their own central bank digital currencies, and by the end of this year is what they're quoted. I highly doubt that would happen, because that definitely takes a lot more development into the blockchain. Although if they have already been into the development for quite some time, it would be much more easier to just roll out the digital currency. But how is it that is going to influence the entire economic system, since traditional currency will still coexist along with this digital currency as well? And how are the networks going to be interlinked? All this stuff are at a technical level. It would be a much more complex system, and that only can be understood as and when time passes by. This is it for this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Meet you in the next one. If you're still not subscribed to my channel, it's absolutely free of cost. You don't need to pay any stable coins as well, or back any collateral assets to that. Just hit the subscribe button. Have fun and take care.